Hey guys, welcome to DevOpsSchool. Today we are going to learn about Splunk. Splunk is a tool which is used for monitoring, searching, analyzing and visualizing the machine-generated data in real time. It can monitor and read different type of log files and stores data as events in indexers. This tool allows you to visualize data in various forms of dashboards. In short, we can say Splunk makes machine data accessible, usable and valuable for everyone. But before we begin, let me inform you few things about us. DevOps School is one of the leading platforms which offers DevOps, cloud and containers technology training and certification programs for freshers and established professionals who wish to update and consolidate their skills in the dynamic IT scenario. We ensure that the training solutions are delivered by highly experienced domain experts with practical working experience in various verticals. You can join our all training programs globally through online platforms, and if you're looking for classroom workshop, then we have regular batches available in Hyderabad and Bangalore. Check out the dates and enroll with us for our upcoming batches. For more info, link and contact details are mentioned in the description below.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about the Splunk. Okay, so Splunk. So how can we analyze machine data with the Splunk? That is all the topic for the today. So first thing, what you have to understand, what is Splunk? What is Splunk? So look at the today's world. We are generating lots of data, lots of log file, lots of information which you are generating through the different places, right? We have a servers, hell lot of servers, app servers, web servers, network, applications. We have IoT devices, so many places we are generating lots of data. And the question is, how can we analyze the logs data? Okay, so we can how can we analyze the log data? So how can we store the log data? How can we ingest the log data? And then how can we visualize those data and take some decisions out of it? So those are the problems which we are going to discuss today. So in order to analyzing the data, we do three things. First thing, we ingest the data. So we create the data and then we store the data. Okay, and then the stored data, we use some tools for visualizing. Okay, so these are the three steps which you perform in order to analyzing the log data, and these are the three things which has been done by the Splunk. So a Splunk can ingest the data. It can help you to gather the data. Ingesting means gathering the data from the different sources, and then it will store the data, and then it will help you to visualize the data. And that is the three functionality you get it. Apart from that, the visualization, you can also create reports, alerts, and so many other things. You can do that. So now the question is, why you should learn the Splunk? Okay, so because do we have any other tools which can help you for analyzing the data? Yes, we do have. We have another tool which is called ELBK, Elastic Log Stack Kibana Beat Stack, which can be used for analyzing the data as well. But here we are learning the Splunk, and the reason is very simple. One of the most important reason is like a Splunk programmer, Splunk engineer is one of the highly paid engineers in the whole world. Okay, so the average salary of the Splunk engineer in USA start with a $90,000 per annum. So that's one of the things, like by looking at the number itself, you can understand that it's one of the highly skilled full job requirement in the world of DevOps. So, and that's one important. That's one of the important reason which you can consider. Another reason is like with the growing internet, with the growing cloud platform, software as a service, platform as a service, soft function as a service, all the application is moving to the clouds, containers, and we are living in an age of big data, machine data, and then also IoT, Internet of the Things. Every devices, every applications is generating huge amount of the data, insane amount of the data. The question is, how can you process those data and then take some business decisions out of it, and then help you to grow in those particular domain? How can you utilize the data for your business benefit? So that's one of the reason why we use a Splunk for it. Now again, third reason which you can say, uh, in terms of log analyzing domain, and which also including security as well, 70% of the market share is being covered by the Splunk, and 30% remaining tools are being used. So now you can understand this one of the other reasons which you have. Again, you get the new insight. So when you do the log processing, log analyzing using Splunk, the data which it generates, it gives you the altogether the new insight about your business application, web server, network security, and all other things. So that's one of the other reason which you want to consider learning Splunk. Again, Splunk has a very rich community where you can get the help easily. You can extend the functionality of the Splunk easily, and lots of supports are there. So that is also good, and it's a fun learning new tools always. So these are the primarily major reasons why we should use Splunk compared to other tools. Okay, now let's move on. Now, in order to learn the Splunk, you need to be, have the skills of basic Windows administration. Okay, and that is very useful because let me remind you, you are analyzing the logs. So basically, you are ingesting the logs, storing the log, and then visualizing the log. And the logs will be generated in the servers and through applications, through the network devices, through the different devices. So you should be well aware of that, Windows administration, then the basic of the logs which Windows generates, Linux generates, and all this kind of things. So it's a good, if you have a Windows administration skills or Linux administration skills, or you are aware of the Windows environment or Hadoop sandbox, then your learning process of Splunk will be much smoother. Okay, so that's the one thing. Now we have to understand what is the machine data which a Splunk analyze for. Okay, so now look at this here. The machine data, the first of all, the definition of the machine data is like data generated by machines, computer processing, application, and sensor data. So now when you say machines, computer processing, application, sensor data, what that means? So basically here, every servers, every machines, every applications, every devices are generating the data every second, in fact right now. Okay, so everything is being generating the data. For example, servers and workstation, it generates the logs of Windows and Linux. It generates the log file, it generated the log file of the access, it generated the log file of the file system. Same time, networks, you get the generated the logs from the firewalls, warning, alerts, and IP addresses. From the database, you have a data logs from the audit logs, configuration schemas, tables, queries, and all these thing logs is being generated. You have a logs from the web transaction as well. For any click you do, it generates a few log files, locations, browser, and time. So all these log files generated with the web. Again, in terms of DevOps, you have a lots of log data which has been generated like a test logs, alerts, events, code check-in, checkout, and stuff like that. In terms of IoT also, Internet of the Things also, so many devices like a GPS, RFID, biometric, temperature, limitless, and many other source which generates the data. So basically, there's a lot of the data which is being generated to the machines, application, and services. Okay, so the question is, how can you ingest, how can you store, and how can you visualize the data? So using Splunk. So using the Splunk, you can ingest the logs, you can index the logs, which is called storing the logs, and then visualize the logs at one platform only. Whereas in competitive with the competition of the ELBK, you have three different tools. Here you have one tool for everything: ingesting the logs, indexing the logs, and visualize the data. Okay, so now this is a typical architecture of Splunk. Here you look at that here. Let's focus on the center of it. So when you try to access from the browser, okay, to the Splunk, you get Splunk server, okay, and a Splunk server has a two part. Okay, one is a Splunk web, which basically consists of the application layer and web layer, which includes Python, Ajax, CSS, and XML, and so on. And then Splunk D, which is a backend where the real data processing happen, indexing happens, searches happens, and it's a basically web services. Now, Splunk server you can access through the two ways. One is like a through browser, and another way you can access through the clients. Okay. Now again, there's so many things around it with the Splunk server. So you have some bundles as well, and you have some servers as well where you can store the indexed file and distributed searches, distributed index. All this thing you can have it if one server is not adequate. So you can extend the servers to multiple servers as well. And you do have when you talk about the Splunk server dashboard visualization tool, you can not only set the alerts, but set the reports, create the reports, alerts, email, RSS scripts, and things like that. And also, if you want to enhance the functionality of Splunk, then you do have a modules which is written in C, C++, Python, and so on. So now this is the overall architecture of Splunk. Okay, and that is what we are going to learn about it. Now, these are the typical terminologies what you have here in Splunk. So the most important terminology which you come across every day while working with the Splunk, that is called index. What is this index? So index is something equivalent to the database. Okay. So in the RDBMS system, you might be hearing about the database 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. So you create a database. Here in Splunk, we create an index. Okay, an index have so much of logs information. Okay, so much of logs information. So index, which basically stores the database and make it available for the processing. Now in the index, you have events. Events means let's say if you put it in the equivalent to the events in the database perspective, let's say it's a table. Okay, it's a table. So index is it will become equivalent to the database, and events will become equivalent to the tables. So tables has a multiple entries and multiple schemas. So like that, events has a multiple schemas, multiple rows in which the data are lying. After that, that events which is getting stored in the index, and then index basically you search. You can have a dashboard for it. Dashboard is a kind of visualization tool for doing everything. So you can be accessed through web browser as well. So that dashboard. And now the question is, how this Splunk will get the data from the various sources. So how the Splunk will send the data from the different servers, let's say Linux servers, Windows server, application servers, web servers, network devices, some devices which is for the IoTs, biometrics devices. So how these devices, applications, and servers will send the data to the Splunk server, and that is been done with the forwarder. Okay, that is been done by the forwarder. So these are the typical terminologies what you have in the Splunk, which we will use across the training. Okay. Now again, Splunk career is very vibrant, and one of the reasons, like one of the fastest growing log analysis tools in the market right now. And of course, there is a very good career ahead. Okay, Splunk is also very good in terms of security and IoT and DevOps, data analyst, and anyone and stuff like that. Okay, so these are the overall reasons in which we can use the Splunk. Let's move on. Now, what we have to do, so we have understood what is a Splunk, why do we need it, and basic terminologies around the Splunk. Now we have to set up an infrastructure, how to set up an infrastructure. So these are the things which we are going to do. We are going to understand the Splunk licensing, how to download the Splunk, how to install the Splunk, and how to run the Splunk. These are the things which we are going to do that. So let's understand the first thing, Splunk licensing. So basically, Splunk licensing is divided into three parts: enterprise, cloud, and light version of it. So enterprise, which you can install in your premises, in your desktop, Linux or Windows, wherever you want it, so that can be installed. Cloud version, which is hosted by the Splunk, so you can directly access the Splunk cloud, and everything you can do, for example, ingest, store the data, and then uh, passing the data through the dashboard. If everything can be visualization of the data can be done through the cloud version of Splunk. And again, there's one light version is also possible is there, which is for the small indexing, ingesting, and visualization. So most of the time you will use enterprise version, uh, and in that enterprise version you have to take care of the installation of the Splunk and configuration of the Splunk and things like that. So I'll teach you enterprise one, but if you are curious to know the cloud one, you can enroll online. And in terms of cloud, you don't have to install it. It's a installed copy. You will get it with some trial license. You can try it out that one as well. Okay, so that's one thing. Just give me a few seconds. I'm just coming back with the topic.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, yeah, it got missed for some time. So overall, some of the recordings which got missed, let me talk about it. So basically, what we did, we downloaded Splunk by registering on the website splunk.com. So we download the uh, Splunk Enterprise 7.2.1 for Windows, though you can install Splunk Enterprise on Linux and Mac as well. But we are downloading on Windows, so we download the package and then we installed it. And now it's almost over. Now you can see the launch browser is Splunk Enterprise finish. So basically, we have installed this Enterprise, and now it's available on 80 port. Okay, you can access it from wherever you want. Now the username which I said during the installation was admin, and password was admin123, which is the password during installation itself I had put in. Now these are some of the surveys and stuff like that. Just I'll skip it. Okay, so now look at this. This is your dashboard of Splunk Enterprise 7.2.1. Now look at this here. You have some of the administration options here. Account settings. So account setting. The account setting, you can set your username. This is your username. You can change the password. Let's say I'm going to change my password. Let's say DevOps at the rate of Rajesh Kumar .xyz. If you want to change the password also, you can change the password. But right now I'm not interested. So save it. Okay. So this is saved. After the second option, you get it here, preferences. So under the preferences, you get the time zone options. What is the application's default page you want to look at that here. The default page as of now, which you can see here, is home. But if you want to see default page on the first page, search and monitoring, search on reporting, instrumentation, monitoring console, you can set that. You can also restart the background jobs. Some of the jobs which you have created in the background, you can also restart it. In SPL editor, SPL stand for a Splunk Processing Language Editor. You can what you want to see. You want to see the themes in terms of full, compact, none. What are the things which you want to see? Here again, some of the themes you can set it up. So this is the SPL editor where you write the queries actually, and it's a very powerful, query editor which is being given to you. So that setup is there. So I'll just leave it unchanged. These are the not things which bothers me a lot. Now you can also log out. Now in the message section, you see that you must be having some alerts, warnings, some sort of message generated by the Splunk Enterprise. So those messages you can see it here. Right now I have none of these because I did not need it actually. Now under the setting option, you will see a lot of options. Here you see app data and monitoring console. Here, this is your monitoring console where you can monitor the whole infrastructure. Under the adding data, you can add the data also for ingesting, for the storing and indexing and stuff like that. So many functionalities there in the setting button. Let me skip here. Here you have add data, so you can add the data from the networking, you can add the data from the operating system, you can add the data from the security, and you can upload the data also from here. You can monitor, you can set the forwarder. So a lot of options you have. Some of these options I'll talk about in some time. Okay, so those are the things which you can see that. Here, if you see that in knowledge tab, here you have a searches, reports and alerts. So basically you can play with the searches and custom searches, reports and alerts. Some of the data models you have, event types you have, tags you have, fields you have, lookups, user interface, alert actions, advanced searches, and all these things it can be you can check, and then you can see the option required configuration. And here into the system settings, you have a server settings. Look at the server setting here. I click on it. Under the server settings, you have a general setting. So these are the settings. If you want to change, you can do that. So this is the server name. It got installed here. Some of the management port is 8089. Some of the information regarding the web. The web is running on 80,000 port, which I am able to access right now. Some of the server ports, again index information, where the index should be stored. You look at this is the place where the index will be stored. KB stored, which you can also configure here. So this is the stuff which you can see it. In terms of, go back to the server setting again. In terms of login background, you have some of the options here. In terms of changing the email setting, SMTP related information, you can set it up here. So PDF reporting settings, you can do that here. So many options has been given by Splunk. Here, if you look at the deployment client, so we'll talk about the deployment client later. Here, search preferences you can also set. So default, it's a default is 24 hours. If you want to change the search preferences from default preferences, you can change it whatever you like it. Yeah. So some of the settings which you can see from the backend, which you can do modification if you want it. Some of the server controls functionality, you have it here. So server control functionality, that means you can restart the Splunk here from here also, and from the service also you can restart the Splunk. That you can do that. Some of the health report managers are there, like whether the Splunk is healthy or not. Some of the instrumentation related options you can find here. What are the instrumentation logs which you are instrumenting? What are the logic is being used in order to instrument the data and stuff like that? You can find it here. Licensing information, you can find it here. I just said 500 MB per day. You can process it through this trial version, but right now it's for the 60 days, which will be, see, look at the expiration date. This will be deactivated at on January 25, 2019. So like that, all these details you can find it here. Now, the data points, like the question is, how can you feed the data into the Splunk? And that's a question. So here you can find out data inputs. So when you talk about the data inputs, what are the various sources in which you can give the data to Splunk? If you look at this local inputs, local means a Splunk server will take the input from the same server where the server is installed. Look at this here. So the local inputs are here. local event log collections. So now what is a local event log collections? So this machine also, if you look at this log viewer, event viewer, something like that, search event, see here, event viewer. Now this is the Windows machine, like that you have in Linux also. It's generating the sum of the logs. So look at this here, look the logs. Here is some of the custom logs. Here you have a Windows log, which includes applications, security, system, setup. So as of now, this Windows machine is very new. It's maybe 1 hour old, or maybe 45 minutes old. So you have a very few lines of code. But if you're running from the years or month or something like that, you have a lot of logs line. You look at this number of lines, you have only 562. But if you're running from the many months, many years, you have a huge amount of data which you can process it. So now this will help you to set up the logs here. Now you can see that remote event log connection also you can set it up. You can do the indexing from the files and directories as well. So you can push the data into the Splunk from the some of the local files and directories as well. You can also collect the performance data from the local machines also. Here, right now you have none. Here you have a 6 inputs basically. You can look out the what are the 6 inputs which is set it up by default. If you click on the files and directories, these are the inputs. Right now you look at this, these are the inputs which is pushed to the Splunk. So now this is nothing but the data from the Splunk itself, which is getting pushed to the database. So Splunk application is running and creating few data, and these are the location: Splunk home, etc, version, introspection, and these are the data which is generating from the files and directories. So basically, it is getting processed and is getting stored in the Splunk itself. In terms of remote event log collections, if you look at this, what data is being stored. So basically in the remote event log collection, this is the local host. That means this machine itself is getting stored all the logs of the local system itself in this location. Now there's a local performance monitoring done. Rest of the things also you can do that. So you can receive the logs from the HTTP event collector also. You can receive a log from the TCP event collector also. UDP also. You can monitor the registry also. You can monitor the Active Directory monitoring also. You can enable the scripts to feed the logs into the database also. So right now you have a 6 default monitoring. You can add as many more. These are the Splunk script itself, which is added. Now some of the PowerShell, local windows and all. Now forwarded inputs is the one which is good actually. So forwarded inputs is like something you are pushing the data from the some remote Windows server, a remote Linux server, or a remote network devices, and remote some IoT devices, or something like that. So you can set up the forwarder. The one which I was discussing about here, it were local input. That means same server where I have installed the Splunk. But if you want to do with the remote machine, then you have to set up a forwarder. So now here you can gather the remote machine Windows logs, files directory, same thing, TCP, UDP scripts, and performance and all as well. So how to set up a forwarder? I will cover this topic in some time. But these are the ways in which you can input the log files into the Splunk, and Splunk will get fetch that, ingest the log file, store the log file, and process the log files for that purpose. Okay, here you have a forwarder and receivers. So now this is the forwarder and receivers configuration. You can do that. This architecture I'll talk about in some time. Let me cover other things. How many indexes you have? So right now, if you look at this, these are the indexes you have. So 9 indexes which you have got it. You can create a new indexes for your application also. So the moment you add a one forwarder, one index being created. Now what is a forwarder? I did not talk about, but in sooner you will talk about it. So now these are the basically index got created. Look at this. What is the index definition? A repository for the data in Splunk Enterprise. Index reside the flat files on the Splunk Enterprise instance known as indexer. Okay, so basically a lot of index is there: audit index, internal, introspection. So this has a data. Look at the size of also what kind of data it stores. Types are events. Look at this. What are the application type? So it's come from the system, is same local machine. What is the current size you have it? Look at this 1 MB or so on. What is the maximum size of that particular index you can store it? So basically the maximum size of the index which you can have it, which is a 500 MB. So that's the reason it says, like, you can go up to this 480 all the places. Event counts, the number of event counts in this data which is got stored here, you have it, which is the earliest event, so 30 minutes ago and so on. Like that, you have so many options, which is you can look at this and then see the index. Now under the reports acceleration summaries, you can find out some of the reporting related UI. As of now, you have not created any reports and related activities, so there is none. What are the source type you have? So here you have a source type here. So right now these are the source type in which you can assign the configurations where the Splunk will store the data and it gets indexed. So these are the things which has been set it up. We'll set up some of the more source type in some time, like that. So overall, yes, Splunk has a very rich graphical user interface and dashboard. Using that, you can manage everything. The most important thing is how can you add a data into that. So now let me add a data. The first thing, let me go to the home page. Okay, and here you have some of the options again: product tour, add data, Splunk apps, Splunk docs, and stuff like that. Here you can see the search and reportings. So that means you can write a special programming language, Splunk's special programming language. So do the search and monitoring. So you can do the searches right now. So here you can put the queries and then it will come with the results. You can also go to the home page again, back to the home page. You can also install the more apps here, find more apps. So it will take you to the apps directly from where you can install the multiple apps based on the needs. If you want to enhance the functionality of the Splunk. Okay, these are the apps which is already installed. You can see that here. These are the apps. Okay, more apps you can browse and get it. Now the most important part of this is like how to add data. So to add a data, you have to use either local, you have to add data from the local or from the remote. So these are the ways in which you can add the data. So now first thing I will show you how can you add the data in Splunk to the local server. So you have to click on the add data here, or if you like, you can click on the add data from this place also here. Okay, so whichever way you're comfortable, you can click on that. Okay, and add the data. Now from where you want to add the data, so you can attach the networking devices, you can attach the operating system, you can attach the security, you can upload the log data as well. Okay, so let me first do the operating system. Okay, so now click on the operating system. Now look at this here. In terms of operating system, you want to attach what? So Windows Server event logs here. The event log same which you generate here, same thing. And then close this. And then you have to click next. There is a forward data Splunk indexer. And now you have to say what is a single instance or is it distributed or Splunk Cloud. Of course, a single. Okay. And then next. This is the validate the data is being ingested and then finish. Okay, so this is the way you can ingest the data. You can upload the data also. So you can upload the data like this. You have it, select the file, Right now, I do not have any file. Let me download from the local. So what you can do, let me quickly do this thing. So this is a system, and I am going to extract the data from here. So how to extract the data? So here, right click and save all events as, and here in the CSV to store it. I'm storing the database, a desktop named with the DD, saved it. Now I have the DD saved it. Now I can import it from here, and that data got imported here. Next, and these are the events got imported. Look at this here. All these each lines represent one event. Each event has a schema like time, event ID, extra fields, and all this stuff like that. Do you want to process? Yes, I want to process. And here, what you want to name it. So this is the host name, and where you want to store the index. So all this stuff, which you set it up, review, these are the thing, and submit. Now all the data which I had in the CSV file, which got indexed. Now start searching or extract the field or add a more data. Let me add a more data here. Okay, so this is the way you can also monitor some of the HTTP files, WMI and stuff like that here also. So now I uploaded the data. You can also monitor some of the live data field. Okay, look at this here. What you can monitor the local events. Again, same when you say monitoring. So the moment here you get the new events, automatically these Splunk will fetch it from the event table. It's like live monitoring. Okay, you can also get the monitoring data from the remote files and directory, some events, HTTPS event, TCP, local performance monitoring, and a lot of things you have it here. So one of the things which you want, local event log. Now what is the logs you want? Let's say, let me add everything, because the Windows machine just 1 hour before I created. So you have a very very few logs lines. So I'm going to import everything, and then I just do that. This is a review, index, everything is done, and review and submit it, and then start searching what you want inside that log. So these are the ways. Again, if you want to add more data, you can set up a forwarder. So forwarder, I'll come back in a little bit of time frame. But again, if you want the ingest the log to the security platform, then it can be done. So here, these are the ways in which you can, gather the log and store the log in Splunk. So here you see that here, McAfee, you can store the log. Microsoft Active Direct, you can store the logs. Semantic endpoints, you can store the logs. But here, basically, these all are add-ons, and you have to first install it and configure it accordingly. Right now, I don't have this one. So you have to get it installed from the apps. Some of the add-ons may be paid one also. So you have to get it this one. Okay, so broadly, this place, Splunk Enterprise, which I set it up right now, you feed the data, you ingest the data and store the data, and finally you search the data, visualize the data, create the reports, and out of the alerts. So now what we did, I uploaded the file. Some of the duplicate data got uploaded because I'm pushing the same data again from the upload and monitoring. Both the cases I ingest the data. Okay, forwarded, I will just set it up in some time. But before that, let me play with the Splunk now. Now, if you see that here, go to the search and reportings here. So I have uploaded some of the data here. Now I have to search for some data. So let me go and click on this. I just did it. Search and reporting is not coming. Let me refresh. It is. happened? Here it is. Now search and reporting, I got this. Now what you want to do? See here, how many total events you got. Let me tell you the number of events is damn less, but Splunk is very, very powerful to process millions of events at a time. Okay, so these are the number of events got indexed because of I just indexed all the security logs, application logs, setup logs, system logs inside the Splunk. The earliest event what I have here in this Splunk is 7 days ago, and now latest event which got generated 5 minutes ago. So this is the smart mode. Here you have a fast mode, verbose mode as well. These are the mode in which you can analyze the data in a better way. Now, what you want to do? So you can look at the data summary. You can look at the data search history also. So there's a search history none because I have not searched so far even one thing. If you want to see the data summary, click on it. Here, now in the data summary, I'm having the logs events only from the one host right now. And that host is the same the where I installed the Splunk. So now you can click on this and look at this. You can visualize that it's a whole world of things which you have. It's a very extremely rich GUI you have. Look at this here. This is the place where you write queries, and there are special Splunk processing language are there which you have to learn, and some of the commands I will teach you anyways, and then here you can write it. So right now here host, because you have only one host, you are searching the logs inside this host. Now in this particular host, what are the different sources on which the data is being generated? So click on the source. See here, these are the 4 sources. The data is coming from this host from the 4 different sources. One of the sources is like a ddd.csv. So remember, I uploaded the data from the one source. After that, there's a system events, security events, and application events. So these are the 3 things: application, security, and system. And I believe setup has no events. That is one of the reason you are not seeing that setup here. Now here 4 values, 4 source of this event, and 100% the events is being indexed and ingested. Now which one you want selected, not selected, all this thing you can do that here. These are the source type. What are the kind of source type of the data which you have it? Look at this here. There is source type. You have a 4 source type. Again, it's in the each events, what is the colons in which the data has been stored? So in the each event, let's say account domain. So there's 7 events which is related to account domain, and again there are 13 information which is related to account name and date and time, date and year. So you can extract it. Let's say I want to extract I want to extract all the events with the event code 4798 in the host name, which is called this one. So how can you do that? Just select this one and add it to the searches, and you see that here host, on this particular host, any events which is matching with the 4798, that should display the results. So now you see that here 20 results has come up which is matching with this search criteria. So here you have events which you can search. Again, you can complicate the scenarios. Let's say if you say there's a host, there's an event code, and I want to display all the event code with a 4798, but the log name should be security. So you can again add it to the visuals, and you see that you have information. So basically all this event code is coming from the security source type and source as well. So these are the ways in which you can play with the graphical user interface and do the searches. Okay, now you can see that here this part, you can see the logs from the real time, like 30-second window, 1 minute window, 5 minutes window, 30 minutes window. You can also check for the today, week, the day, all this number of last 50 minutes, 60 minutes, 4 years, 4 hours, 24 hours, 7 days, all these thing you can do that. Okay, and here you have a more options like a relative, filtering by the relative, real time, date range, date and time range, and some of the advanced options. So a lot of ways in which you can queries the information and you can get the information. Again, there's some patterns also you can see that. So here you see that it's 100% pattern. Basically, the search is whatever you did. Here, some statistics are there. Statistics you can create through the pivot, some report, some search command. So the visualization you can also here you can see that. So basically the data is very small, so you don't have any visualization here and no statistics and no pattern which you have seen it. But the more the data you give it to Splunk, the better way you can visualize the data, pattern, statistics, and so on. Okay, so here all these things you can search the data in all the database which got indexed, and then after that, what are you going to do? After that, you're going to create reports out of it. So how can you create a reports? You have to click on the save as button. You can look at this here. You can create a reports. You can add it to the dashboard panel. You can add alerts also. So what to do? Let's create a reports. Now this is the reports, which is basically the event code. What was that? 4798, and then description optional, time range picker, let it be, and save yes. Now you want to see that you want to add into the dashboard. You can add the dashboard also, and I added into the dashboard. Here it says cannot perform action post without the target name to act on. So you have to decide the target name also. So target name should be, let's do that. So dash and save it. So now you created one dashboard here, and the dashboard you have only one data, which with the security code 4798, all these things. Okay, now the reports which you generated, you can get it here. Click on the reports and see some of the reports you got it by default with the installations of Splunk. The reports which I generated, which is here, this is the one, event code 4798. This is the reports which you got it. Now this reports is there, so like that you can create the reports, you can do whatever you want. You can view the things, all the stuff, and after that, if you want to generate alerts out of it, so let's say the moment someone is, if your system Splunk is detected this event code, you should be notified or someone should be notified, maybe it's a security issue. What to do? You're going to take alerts here. Click on the alerts, and here you can generate alerts. Right now you see that there's no alerts here. Okay, so how can we generate alerts? So for that you have to go to the reports, click on the reports, and here you can go to the let me go to the reports is here. And I have to go to the search, data summary, click on this host, and alerts. So you have to create alerts from here. Now this alerts you are creating, alerts 1, and the moment you get this one, it should be scheduled or real time. You can set it up, run every week, run every hour, run every day, run every month, or certain duration, fixed duration. And when the trigger should happen, the number of results or number of hosts, number of sources, number of customs, all these things, and save it. Enable at least one actions. Let me enable the action here. Action, what you want. So you want to run a script whenever this alerts matches, or you want to you do something else. Let's say send an email. So send an email is a better one right now, which will work. Or invoke a script. You can also invoke webhooks also. So you can send an email to whom? You can send an email to anyone who's responsible for receiving that alerts. So let's put in my name, my email address, and like that you set it up. Well, a lot of options you have. It is a rich GUI, and then you set this Splunk, and right now you see the trial expire. So this scheduled search will not run after that trial expires. So basically, this is just a warning message. You can see the view alert, continue editing, whatever it is. So this is the alerts. So basically, what we are doing, we are with the help of the Splunk, we are ingesting the data to the various sources. We are indexing it, searching it, creating a reports and alerts, and visualizing it. Okay, for the reasons it could be anything. You want to understand the test results, you want to see the security threats, you want to see the patterns on which what time users come to your application, what they do on your application, what class method they're accessing on the during the their browsing time, or many more use cases it can be used. Okay, so these are the things which can be done. So broadly, use the Splunk for the analyzing the application data. Do you have any questions so far? Any questions so far?
Good.
Sir,
Good.
analyzing the data, so uh, it is automatically triggering to the users or how they will
Yeah.
monitor those logs.
Yeah. So basically here, you might have looked at it. While searching the data, okay, while searching the data, let's say you search, first you decide what you want to search. Let's say you decided, I want to search some data here. Let's say your results, which is, let's say, example, event type, you want to search. And this is your results. How many results you got? 285. Now, the moment you receive this, let's say you receive the 7036, the moment you receive this, then you want that to be alert to be created. That alerts should be sending and doing some actions on it. That action can be sending an email, running some script, or something like that. So on what event is nothing but this one. Okay, so whatever the searches it matches, you get the new events, alerts get executed. That is how it works. Okay,
Okay.
so now
Uh,
let me
is it
tell you.
possible to, Rajesh?
Yes,
Yeah, one question. Is it possible to monitor the alerts within Splunk?
within Splunk.
Yeah.
So Splunk itself monitor. I mean, Splunk monitor itself. So if you look at that here, some of the Splunk information. So let's say go to the setting, and you see that data inputs. So here, these are the data inputs out of which you see files and directories. So Splunk is monitoring themselves also here. These are inputs which is happening. Number of files you are inspecting here. Splunk is monitoring themselves also. Okay, so now out of which, so far what we have added in terms of adding the data, I added through the files and also I did through the local machines. But how can you add the data? How can you ingest the data through the remote machine? And in that case, you have to set up a forwarder. Okay, so this is the forwarder. So let me do one thing. Let me set up a forwarder of some remote machines. So how can you do that? So forwarder, it can be on any machine. It can be Windows, Mac, Linux, or whatever it is. And here, these are the forwarders we can set it up. So now look at this here. A lot of documents you will find it here, but FAQ and all. So what to do? In order to set up a forwarder, you have to perform some of the options. And the first option which you have to do, look at this here. So as of now, there is no forwarder configured as a deployment cloud to this instance. So basically, yes, before setting up the forwarder, actually there are some settings which you have to do. First setting which you have to do is like enable the Splunk to accept the forwarder. So how can you enable the Splunk for accepting the forwarder? You have to click on this button, which is called forwarder management. Look at this here. First thing you have to do, and this is just a one-time setup. Okay, so here you have to go to the distributed environment, and you have to click on the forwarder management. Click on it, and here you say uh, forwarder management UI distribute deployment apps. No clients currently available. So this option is gone through. Let me check here. Okay, so that option I'm not able to find. Just again. That should be, let me try in the server setting. No, okay, just again. Under the setting, you should go and distribute it. I think it should be here. Let me check my notes if it's changed somewhere else. The first thing, and go to the setting, click on the monitoring console, and now click on the setting. Let me do that. So monitoring console, setting, monitoring console, which is here, and then say it's here. So now I have to go to forwarders, and for the setting, is here. Okay, so let me start again. There's so many changes are here. So go to the setting, click on the monitoring console. Okay, and then first thing what you have to do is enable the forwarder. So to enable the forwarder, you have to go to the setting, and you have to click on the forwarder monitoring setup. So that is, see here, by default it's a disabled, so you have to enable it. Okay, it's a one-time activity you have to do, and after that, data collection intervals, you have to set how frequently the forwarder should send the data and Splunk should receive the data. So 15 is the minimum, and 24 is the maximum. So let's set it up 15 minutes and save it. So this is the things which you do. Now, if you read it here, forwarder monitoring is active. Do you want to rebuild the forwarder asset now? This operations can take time to include blah blah blah. Right now, you can do it, you cannot do it, and stuff like that. So it's up to you. Now my forwarder is enabled. Now what you're going to do? You are going to install the forwarder. So for that, now I need a remote machine. So let me do that. Let me set up a Linux box. So quickly, I'm going to get one more box here. And Red Hat Linux. And I will get 2 GB RAM or let me next one machine. Storage, all this thing is done. Here, select operating system default, review launch, and Tabura Raj. This is the new machine, I got it. So I'm monitoring the Linux server. You can monitor the applications also. So for Linux forwarder, so this will forward the events logs to Splunk. Now this is the IP address. Inside that you have to install the forwarder. So how to install the forwarder? Let me first log in into this. And key is here. Bravura, quick open. Now, yes, I'm logging to EC2-user and I'll become a sudo. Now I have to install the forwarder. So how to install the forwarder? For that, we have a separate documents which you can find it at this place. See here, get data into the Splunk with your universal forwarder. So I click on it. Here it is. Now you can download the forwarder for the various platforms. You can look at this large set. You can download Windows forwarder, Linux forwarder, Solaris, Mac, FreeBSD, AIX. Right now I'm very much interested in the Linux. Again, in Linux, what you have, so 64-bit, what you want, RPM, Arbol, Debian, what do you want? I want the RPM. So here I will want RPM. The problem here is, how can I get it? That's the URL. I need it in Linux. And normally once you download it, keep it at the some location from where you can usually copy, very frequently. And I'm just downloading this. Now I need a link for it. So I'll just save it. And this link, which I am going to copy download link, and here wget this one. So now this link, I got it. Normally you keep it downloaded version of the copy somewhere in the local, and then so you don't have to download again and again. So yum install wget -y wget. Using that, I'm going to install the forwarder, download the forwarder. And wget, here it is, the RPM, I got it. Now I'm going to install this RPM. So RPM -ivh dup. Now it got installed. In the forwarder, normally in Linux, it gets installed in the OPT directory. And here it is, Splunk forwarder. Click on it. Here it is a bin directory. And go to the bin directory. And then here you have so many files. One of the files which I'm going to start with is Splunk. Okay. is a battery issue, so let me just switch it on. Just a second, give me 2 minutes. Okay, so now I have to start the forwarder. So there are few URLs which you have it. Using that you can start. So the commands I'm having already ready. The commands is you are going to run this one. So fortunately, do you have the scripts? And don't have that one. So probably this is a new one which you have got it. So I am going to run the forwarder. Just a second, let me get the instruction. This is the one getting manually. So basically I downloaded this one. So this is the installed documents. I have it here, installing in Linux. Looking for the documents. Here install documents. They have changed the package. Now click on the install forwarder. So click on this documentation. Here it is. Forwarder. Linux. Here it is. Next. And Linux. And here it is. So I install through RPM. Okay. So basically using that, how can you start? The documents should be I think it's the next step. So here start the universal forwarder. So different platform, different commands and different executables are there to start, and that's the confusion is all about it. So here if you look at this, it says if you are on Linux, then you have to use this command, and this will accept the license. So let's do this command now. So I'm running this command. Here Splunk, this will execute accepting the license. And what is the username? So username, you can put it for this, again same thing, admin, and password admin123, admin123. Okay, so now this forwarder got started. Okay, so right now you see that starting Splunk server daemon Splunk D. So now this forwarder got started. Now you can also check that whether it's got started. Yes, it's got started, and it's running on 8089. Now what you're going to do, it's like this. understand this. MS Paint. Now, this is the Splunk server you have here. This is the Splunk server you have here. Now, these are the forwarder. All these forwarders are running and fetching the data. Now, this should be posted to Splunk server. So, how can you post that? So, for that, there's a one command for that. The command is this one. Okay, Splunk add forwarder server to this place, and here this will be the Splunk enterprise server. Now before that, you have to enable the port, which I have not done it. So now I go to my Splunk server. Okay, I go to monitoring console. Okay, and here I go to forwarder instance, and I see there's none. It should be none. Yep, there's none. But here, if I go setting and here click on the monitoring setting, this is enabled already. Last option which I have to go and do that, which is this one, forwarder management. So click on it. Still it has not come so far. And forwarder and receiving is here. So receive data, configure receiving. So I'm going to configure the here and add new receiving port. Okay, the default port which you can keep it, which is for the 997, but you can change any port whichever you want. So that means the IP address will be of this machine. With this port, it will receive the forwarder. Now that's done. Here it is enabled. You can see that 9997, which is enabled the port on the Splunk enterprise version. Now finally, you have to run this command. So what is the IP address of my enterprise Splunk server? That enterprise is this one. So now I'm going to run the command, which is this one. The command is this one, and where is that IP address I'm going to change of Splunk enterprise is this one. That's all. This command I'm going to run in the remote machine, and this will send the forwarder. Now, what is the Splunk username? ADMIN, password ADMIN123, and now see added forwarding to that. So this timing which we set, which is 15 minutes. Okay. So now after that, the forwarded this machine, this Linux servers will send the lots of data to Splunk enterprise version. Okay. Let me check if I have missed the steps. So I have installed the forwarder. Okay, I have run the forwarder. After that, I set the interval that and all. I have enabled the port also, and finally I'll run this. After that, I'm going to check, visualize that those forwarders. So let me go to the monitoring console, and in the forwarder, click on the forwarder instance, and now I am just waiting. Here the data has not come. Here it will come that servers which I have enabled the forwarder with. And after that, data automatically will be indexed. And what you have to do, you have to search the data, create a report, create an alert, do the visualization, and whatever you want. Okay, so this is the way you have so many different kind of forwarders of Linux, Unix, Windows, network devices forwarder, and geometric devices forwarder. You have to set it up, keep ingesting the data on Splunk, store it, and search and visualize that. And this is all about the Splunk you can use for. Do you understand that? Did you understand that?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. So now this is the things which you have to do. Now the commands is very much important. So what you have to do, the most important thing is the commands, like which you type it in the search and reporting. So a lot of commands you can find it on the Splunk portal itself. Some of the commands you can find in my notes. Let me show you the notes location. Here it is. And here you can find all the notes. And here you can see that here in the host machine, you can search this event code, which I shown you. This is the function, okay? This is the function in which you can duplicate, you can avoid the duplicate data using the dedupe. You can see the first 10, you can also tail, also you can top 10 also, you can do that. So a lot of functions which you have, basically this Splunk processing language you have to learn, and some of the syntax you have to learn, and that is all about it. After that, you can just, experience the Splunk. The more time you spend with the Splunk graphical user interface and the application which you are indexing, ingesting, and the creating a report of it is more important. So in order to get expertise in the Splunk, you have to understand two things, very simple. You have to understand the Windows internals, Linux internals, or the applications which you are ingesting a data log of it. What kind of logs it's sending to the Splunk, that is important. And also if you are ingesting the data from the network, you need to understand the network or any security related devices and all stuff like that. So Splunk store all the data, and this is where you can search, visualize it, filter it out, create a reports, create a alerts, and that is all about the Splunk. Okay, is that clear? Is that clear?
Yep. Just a quick question on the receiving port, right? That we configured 9997. So what is the best practices? I mean, when we have multiple applications in an enterprise deployment, right? Let's say I've got application 1, 2, 3, like application 10. Do we configure different receiving ports for each of the applications, or
No.
just
So
one?
here, if you look at the architecture here, this is your Splunk server. Okay, and here you have a forwarder in one machine, another forwarder here, and this IP address is fixed here, and port is fixed here. You can send that to specific for the port, and then Splunk will receive that, ingest the data, and keep it, index it, and then that will be available for the searching. So basically, these ports you should not change. But let's say one port is highly occupied, and index is very slow, so you can anytime you can go back and add the another port, and that is also simple. So go to the monitoring console, go to the setting, go to the monitoring setup, and you can add, sorry, not this place, you can add it here, configure receiving. So you can add many ports you wanted. So you can add as many ports which is you wanted, and on that you can forward the data.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question? Okay, guys. So with this, I'm going to wrap this session up. I'm going to upload this recording, two recordings today actually. One is Terraform and one is Splunk in next 2 hours, and after that you'll get the access of it. And then next session we're going to meet up as per the planned agenda, and then we'll get going.
Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest. Want to study further? Subscribe to our paid membership to get a deep dive into each and every topic. Do look out for more videos in our playlist and subscribe to our DevOps School channel and hit the bell icon to learn more. Keep learning.